Game Beard. All right, today we're going to do washes, and we're going to talk about washes and how it's my favorite thing ever. And it's a very easy technique. You'll notice that in a previous video I showed you I just used paint to wash, and I did this model, right? This is I forget her name, Rosie, I think. She's from Dust. But I basically just used watered down, acrylics on her, and it looks really good. She had an underpainting of black and white, but looks pretty good. So we'll talk about her soon. Let's go straight to this guy though first, because I'm hoping he'll dry while we work on the other models. So using a wash is, it's like a watered down paint or ink. Usually it is more saturated. So for instance, I like Privateer Press ones. I'm sure Games Workshop has a bunch of them that are expensive but are awesome, I bet. I use Privateer Press. I have Flesh Wash, was that Cossite, Flesh Wash, Caspian. These are all nice. And then I've got Armor, right? And then I have old school, old school washes. But I'm sure, like I said, GW has newer versions of these that work great. They have contrast paints. Contrast paints are kind of the same thing. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is, let me try, I don't remember what Cossite looks like. So I'm going to go for Cossite. If it doesn't look very good, I'll just add some, armor. He needs to be pretty dark. Okay, so here we go. I kind of want to use a bigger brush. Going for it, I'm using a bigger brush here. Okay, I had my other brush ready. Okay, here we go. Let's see what this looks like. Oh yeah, nice. This is good. Okay, this is what I was looking for. So you can see it kind of, it gets in the cracks. It's like repelled from, from the surface, and it just kind of fits in the cracks. The paint I used, the primer I used, it's like extra repelling. It's almost like too much. So if you ever use kind of like a satin or a gloss, or basically those, you remember those primers I was talking about? The whites, they tend to repel this stuff. But maybe that will work out to my benefit. Maybe it'll be all right. I don't know. We're gonna find out right now. But I'm applying it liberally, and it looks pretty good. What I usually do is I'll do a wash like this, or a combination of washes. I can dab them away if there's like too much. Like if it gets too much in there, I can dab it. I'm gonna dab, boy, I'm not gonna do those tentacles. Okay, let's see here, feet. Okay. One thing about washes though is it usually darkens your color. So you remember he was white, and he's gonna be like a tan. And I don't know, it's hard to avoid that. I'm gonna add a little bit of water. Let's see what we got here. Water. Get it in there. Oh man, I'm running out. That's funny. I didn't waste any. Ooh, it's splattering. It's splattering all over my game beard. Oh, the price we pay to inform you at Game Beard. I'm getting splatter on my paint thing here. It's slightly out of focus there, so that's fine, but man. We go through great efforts to inform and entertain, so great sacrifices here. Happening live and unrehearsed. Spontaneous. By real gamers. Okay. I don't know, he looks pretty good. Not as much in the back. So let's see what we got here. I like it. Maybe I can add... oh, so there's a big blob there, right? You notice I was trying to like brush it around. Gravity helps kind of bring this stuff into position. Let's see. There's a little too much there. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit here on the bottom of these tentacles. I'm going to use a color on these, and they're going to get lighter. Okay. I guess I didn't need to get any more. I can always add a little more later. Okay. He looks good. But you can see what a wonderful result you can get, and nice and easy. I mean, I really like to do this. So like, he's darker now, So if he needed to be lighter, although I'll kind of very lightly dry brush a lighter color on top of that. That helps too. I mean, you know, it's difficult to get a wash to work perfectly the first time. Sometimes I'll do what I just did and kind of apply it, and then I'll dry brush it, and then maybe I'll add a little more, usually in the face. Like, looks like I'm running out here. Okay, he looks good. Let me see. I'm going to dab him a little. I got a handy paper towel here. I definitely want to dab on these tentacle things because these are going to be pink. Okay, I'm going to dab on this stuff. Looks not bad. I'm going to dab a little bit on his head and his big muscly areas. Okay. I don't know. I'm trying to get it off, you know, some of those lighter areas. He's pretty dark. Oh, that was bad. I actually dabbed. Well, no, it looks like it's coming back. All right, that's good. Let's see what do we got on the back here. I dab a little, just so it's not. You don't want to dab too much. I'm going crazy here. Okay, it might be better just to dry brush over. Okay, so he's pretty good, but you can see he has a real nice worn effect. The problem is though when he dries, like right now, it looks really dark in those cracks. Uh, but it may dry and may not look as effective. So, like right now, there's a real concentrated dark color in there, and it might simply go away. But it is better, it looks good, and we'll dry brush it, and we can always apply some more. So that's, even though it looks really good right now, this, I'm telling you, a lot of this stuff may go away. That might go away. It's not going to look as interesting. But so far, so good. He looks a little worn. He's not like that pure white. Okay, I'm going to put him away to dry. Let's talk about Rosie here. She's just a typical figure. And her face was mostly white, and she had a black, like it was dry brushed. She was black, dry brushed white, and then so we kind of had an underpainting. And so I did a very light, watered down kind of skin color on her, and it kind of looks like a wash already. Looks pretty good, and that's how I tend to paint. I really enjoy watering down my paints and building up those highlights. It has like a wash effect, and it looks really good. I mean, I just call it wash, but it's watered down paints. It looks pretty good. If you remember, this was white, and I painted it. I gave this a wash. The problem is my paint was a little, and it was regular paint. It wasn't a wash. It was paint watered down acrylic, right? And it was a little too opaque, so I could have gotten a better result here, but I can always dry brush it a lighter color, a lighter value, and then try again, right? But anyways, I'm going to focus on her skin. So I'm going to get oh, I guess I got to get a smaller brush here. And I'm going to get just flesh wash. Her skin is kind of lighter. So we're going flesh. Again, I just like the Privateer press. It's cheap and convenient, so that's what I got. I'm sure GW has all kinds of amazing. I haven't purchased any of their stuff in a long time, as far as their paint goes, because it's what can I say? Super expensive. Although all paints are getting kind of pricey, but Privateer press is a little cheaper, and I like the paint. I like the bottles too. Okay, so here we go. Let's see. I don't want to get too much on her face here. Let's see. I'm gonna hold her up. So I'm actually kind of painting it in there. Look, her face looks weird. I'll dab it. All right. Yeah, way too much. I want to get a little in her ear. Can you see that? Yeah, you can see that. Okay, that's like way too much on her face. Maybe I can brush it off. That might be better than dabbing. Just kind of brush it around. Nice. Get some of that. Oh, I took too much away. That stuff might dry anyways. Dry away. She got a little weird, too much on her bicep there, but that might dry away, so I'm just going to put a little here. So I don't know, I kind of painted on. That looks pretty good. Let's see. Her face is so tiny. The camera makes it look bigger. So looking at it actually looks pretty good. But I don't know. Like this looks weird here, but it's so tiny, and when I put it on the table, you won't even see it. But that's pretty good. Sometimes I might add some highlights on like her nose and cheeks and stuff like that. Maybe a little highlight here on her belly. But that looks pretty good for now. So she's good. I'm gonna put her aside. Okay, now let's look at this guy. This is my night gaunt, and he has like a grayish purple in here, and the card I'm looking at, it's like a warm gray, but I want to maybe try. I'm gonna try. Let's see what happens here. I'm gonna try to put a little bit of purple in here. Maybe I'll mix it with that flesh. I don't want it to be too purpley, and then maybe I'll dab it away. But let's see what it looks like. But I want to get a little bit of a different color in these membranes in his wings. So let's see. I'm actually gonna use. Let's try it. I'm gonna try the purple. This is the old GW purple. I haven't used it much ever. Let's try it here. Actually, I have to brush it out. Oh, that looks nice. Okay. Boy, I think I need more than that. I might need more. Okay, I'm going to add some water. I don't want it to be too saturated. How much water do I know to add? I don't know. Like, if you add the more water you add, the less saturated it's going to be. I'm going to add a little bit of this flesh. I should get it in there. Okay, I'm curious. I'm curious what this is going to look like. Half the time, these washes are a happy accident, but if they don't look good, you just wipe it away, right? I do want it to have some purplish color, and I'm hoping that that gray undercoat, or let's see if it stays in there. Oh yeah, oh, this is barely in there. Okay, let's see here. Almost not very much. Wow, it's not, it's super resisting it. Look at that, wow. Okay, here, let me dry, maybe I can get some of this paint off. Let's see what we got here. Ooh, it's still kind of dark. Ooh, it's super resistant. Wow. I'll tell you. Wow, really just get it in there. That could be a combination of the primer. I might be using too much water. I added water. Let's see here. Nope, I'm practically wiping it away. Let's see. It's a. Dry my brush. Dried my brush a little so it's not as wet. But yeah, I'm having a hard time here with this guy. Okay, so maybe just don't use as much water next time. The problem is, I didn't want it to be so saturated. You know, eventually I might get this in there. Curious what this looks like on my other guy. That is subtle. But maybe I'll just have to see how it dries. I'm just going to add some here, just so I have it on both ends. Wow, that's super resistant. Cool. Cool, yeah. So it's too resistant. Maybe you use too much water. Maybe it's your primer, like mine. Maybe you need to dry your brush so that only the wash is wet. Yeah. Maybe just apply a couple coats until it finally takes. The problem is you want to dab. You don't want to leave this, like it's just pooling up in there. That's crazy. It might eventually stain the paint that I put on the, like that I dry brushed on the black. I don't know. Just gonna get a little bit back here. You can see that? Yeah. Wow. It's not as exciting. We're gonna move on from this guy. I'm gonna spread it around, hoping that I can get it to stay. Let's see here. Kind of helped a little. It's not very light. It's like a dark brown. I kind of like it. We'll see how it dries. I got a feeling I got dry brush this like a light gray on top of this purple. Maybe the purple will stand out a little when I dry brush it, but alright. It's hard to see inside the wings, so sometimes I just leave them. I want to get a little bit in there. Alright, well, you dry. Okay, you dry. Oh, well here, under the light it looks, here, it's still, No. It's darker. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, you go away. Ugh, I have no room. Okay, let's try on this guy. This guy, he has a little bit of, let's try it. He has a little, I'm looking at his card that's off camera, and it's a little bit of blue, and a little bit of blue and red. Oh, that's kind of nice. Just a little bit of color. He's not supposed to, wow, you can barely see that on the screen, though. The lights and the computer are washing that out. But there's a little bit of purple in there. I like it. It's just a hint. And then sometimes I'll just kind of wipe it away. Like, how do you blend it? Well, not very easily. You add a little more, and then I usually wipe it away, but it's not the best. You could dab, maybe with a napkin I could dab it. I like that. But that's subtle. Let's see. Can't even see that. Let's compare. You can barely see that. Um, but it's there. It's there. Subtle effect. Especially with these weird Cthulhu monsters. Sometimes they just have some nice colors blending in them. Purples or greens. This guy has reds and purples. I'm sorry, reds and blues. I'm just doing the purple instead. Well, because I have it mixed, and it's so subtle anyways. But I am gonna add it. Wow, you can't even see that on screen. Trust me, it's there. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Let me see if he has any more colors. Let's see. Let me look at his card. Yeah, a little. He's got this weird thing here. I'm gonna add a little bit of purple to that. Just give it a little bit of color. Yeah. Can you see that? Barely. But the nice thing is, especially if you've like underpainted your model and it's like a lot of black and white, it can accept these colors pretty easily. That's pretty dark. But you can tell when it dry. I mean, you can tell. You'll notice little subtleties like that. This is getting pretty dark, so I might want to add a little bit of. I might dry brush it again later. Yeah. Okay. All right, there he is. Let's see. I'm gonna see how well this guy's drying. He's dark. It's dark. I wanted it to be lighter, so I'm probably gonna dry brush. Boy, I don't want to dry brush. I'll dry brush a light gray with a little bit of pink in it. Okay, well, there it is. Okay, let's check on this guy. Are you dry? Not totally. Yeah, you can see some of those wonderful effects like that we saw earlier, like they're gone. Oh boy, I'm not going to be able to do much more to this. Let's see. So I'll have to maybe dry brush him a lighter color. Maybe add a little more wash, like where it really matters, like in between his pecs and on his muscles and stuff like that, and then dry brush it again when it dries. But yeah, I'm gonna lose a lot of that. It almost just stains the whole thing. So let's see. But let's see if I can do some. I want to do some actual color on this guy. I wanted to paint those tentacles, and this is not a very dark color. I mean, this probably won't work very well. Let's see. I'm gonna add a little bit of purple to it. Okay, I'm gonna add a little water. Oh, well, if I had too much. So the question is, how much is too much? I don't know. Lighter colors, if you add too much water, they won't show up. Let's try it. I want to add a little bit of this purple in there to make it a little more pinky. Or maybe I'll start with this and add some of that. And then if your brush is too wet, you can dry your brush. Okay, here we go. Let's try this. Ooh. See, that primer is resistant. Wow. That's kind of working. Okay. Oh no, don't drip on my... Here, I got a dab. Okay. Yeah. All right, let's see. Not so great. I'm gonna add some of that purple in there. He's got these weird tentacle things, and they're like a reddish pink. I'll tell you. Just following the card. They don't separate very well from his body. These need to be a little more pinkish and reddish. Let's see. Not so much. Not so much, actually. Okay. But let me see if I can add some of that. Yeah, see, this didn't really give me that much of a... It's wet, so it's not... It's a little better than if it was like thick paint, but it's not that great. Okay, let's try some of this. Let's try some of this purple. Let's mix it in there. What? Wet blending or wash? I don't know. Whatever this is. Let's see. Let's try to get it in there. Yeah, that helps. Let's see. I want it to get in these cracks. It's not. It ain't doing that. So usually I just you know, it takes practice to kind of get this stuff working. It may get some in there, but usually what I do is like I'll dry brush it, and then you'll really see the color difference. It's almost like staining all of that. So like I might dry brush that, and then let's see if I can get it in these little tentacles, these little, no, well, a little, it's subtle. But the nice thing is, washes are very forgiving. Like, don't go too crazy and just undo everything that you've done. But like, if I didn't like this, I could dab it. You know, I could wipe it away. But don't go crazy. Just keep painting it. Like if like so for instance, like I didn't. It looks actually it's looking okay. I didn't get super dark in those little cracks and stuff. Actually, it looks good here on his neck. But like down in here. The more I look at it, the more I like it. But I was hoping to get a little more darkness in here. This is still drying, so this may end up looking kind of like that. Like that looks real nice right there, but that's probably going to dry lighter. So I might put a little more in there, but like real specific. I'll probably show you this right now. And then I'm going to dry brush it and then just add a little bit more. And like I said, I use paint and wash. I just like to use my paint. Um, I want to pull in here. I just like the watercolor effect because I can blend it, I can dab it. He's got a little on his butt. And it's forgiving, and it does give you a worn look, and I like the worn look. It looks nice. Let me get a little bit of this in here. Why did I do that? For fun. I wanted a little more color throughout his body. But a lot of this is going to be dry brushed anyways. So like you won't see much of this. Like I could probably go crazy and add a lot of purple. In fact, maybe I will. Let's see what we got here. But it's very, like I said, it's fun. Little on his face. Let's see here. Oh, here? I don't know. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's see. I want to get a little more wash in there. So I'm going for armor. I don't use a lot of armor on guys like this, but let's oh boy, maybe I don't want to do this. I'm going to go a little dab of that. And then let me go, I'll just go back to that Cossite. Yeah, here we go. Just going to add a little bit, hopefully not. Let's not get too much. Okay, let's try that. Oh, it's funny, you can't even see it. It's like off the, sorry. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna have my brush not so wet, although it's gonna be a little wet. I'm gonna mix it. Oh, yeah, it's over here, sorry. I mixed a little bit, like a drip of black armor wash. And I'm just gonna put it back in here. Kind of where it matters. Like maybe, now this is a real thick brush too. Maybe I should have used a smaller brush. Just gonna be careful. A little bit in here, and then he's got that nice crack around this. I don't know what this is. The tube, you know, where it connects. Let's see. I do like it on his arms, and I definitely liked it getting into his fingers and stuff and in between his bones. So I just want to try to get some more of that in there. Hopefully that will kind of remain. And if not, I can always paint it in. Um, but you can, I definitely wanted a little bit here, although that was a little too much. A little under his knee. I use my finger a lot to dab this stuff. Here. Okay. So again, this may be a little between his toes here. This sometimes it dries not so elegantly. And again, but I'm not super, I'm personally not super concerned because I'm going to dry brush it again. I'm going to dry brush because he really is lighter. And that kind of helps. It lightens the stuff on top, you know. So I'm not super worried. And that's kind of my technique. I have a feeling I'm going to do one more video where I talk about finishing up. And maybe I'll talk about that. Oh gosh, I ran out of my black, so I'm just putting it in here. And this stuff works really good for monstery type stuff because they're spotty and irregular, you know, so you can kind of get away with murder, which is fun, which is why monsters and these kind of creatures are fun. Tyranids and stuff like that, like creatures, they don't have to be super neat. So like I would probably use this stuff in a more limited fashion on Space Marine, like maybe on a scroll, maybe on bone, like little skulls, maybe the face, you know, I'd go in and add a little stuff like that. But it is, I don't know, he's looking pretty good though. I mean, anyways, so whether or not I did it a really good job with my wash, it's starting to look good. I'm building up some of those darks. He's sometimes you just need to build it up. You can dab it back in there. He's looking pretty good. And then finally, I want to show you one more thing. This time I'm just going to use real paint. So I'm going to use purple. He's got these kind of purpley crystals on his arms. I'm going to try to do it here. Oh, yeah, wow. Okay, well, I'm going to do it here so you can see it. This is just going to be, this is the paint. I mean, it's a similar color to that wash. It's very similar. But dark colors like black, olive drab, and this kind of purple, and then even that dark blue. It's not a dark blue. It's this. This one works really well. What is this? Coal black. I use this for jeans, but this really just watered down has a real nice effect. So let's see what we got here. Okay, let's see if this works. Yeah, it does. So instead of painting this solid, I really wet down my paint, and because well, his arm was mostly, it was a lighter value. It was white, but I can just very carefully kind of dab these on, and it's giving me, it's kind of hard to tell. Those are really tiny, but it's giving me that kind of wash effect. Like it's thinner on the edge, and then it's kind of getting weighed down. It's a little darker down there. Here, let me see if I can get this one to work. But it's the one nice thing about what there, yeah. So it's looking kind of nice. So if it dries that way, that's kind of a nice effect. So that's in combination with my lighter underpainting, which was like white or a real light beige, or light gray, you know. But I usually do like a beige if I'm doing like creatures, right? But it there, it's yeah. So see, it gives a nice effect, and it's fun and easy. And because my paint's watered down, and as long as I'm careful, you could rapidly paint this stuff, and it's just more enjoyable to get those results faster, and then go back and finish up. Finishing up is where I pay closer attention to the details, and maybe some dry brushing. Like I'll dry brush and it might ruin some of this, but then I'll fill in. I showed you filling in on that Hound of Tyndalos, right? If you remember that. That was like a previous video. So for me, it's a push and pull. Like I love my washes. I start with this. I go water down paint and I build up my shadows. Then I dry brush it, uh, overall, I'll show you. I'll do another video. And then some people would freak out about that because it kind of ruins a lot of my work here. And then I just go back in and I fill in. I go in and I add those darks back in. So we'll see. We'll see how much I can ruin what I've done here by applying a light dry brush over everything. And that's my way to avoid edging because I don't like to edge. You'll see. Most people would be like, oh, no. Like you'll go in and you'll just edge these things perfectly. That's true, but I don't know. I have too many miniatures to paint, and so I've developed my more mass quantity painting method, and the results are pretty good for me. I want to have a good time, and when I have a model that really matters, I'll edge it. So like I have like the Great Lord Cthulhu, and it's like, oh man, I gotta do some edging, but I still do all these techniques. But I'll show you. I'll show you in a video. Like I'll dry brush it, and then I'll go in and I'll add some hand painted, um, edging, hand painted, and it does look nice. It looks nice. I just don't do everything. I limit it. Oh boy, should that stuff be in a spine? I guess my brush is too big. Notice how I'm not switching. I should switch my brush. So you would switch your brush. Do as I say, not what I did it barely. Looks pretty good. Okay, let's see. Did I get them all? Not bad. So, but you can see it. Let's see. So again, let's look at this one. Yeah. So that's a nice result. So that's my watered down purple. I mean, it's kind of a wash. Not really. It's watered down paint, you might say. You might argue. Fine. You win. You're right. But I use it like a wash. Watered down paint. It's like a watercolor effect, really. And I really enjoy this. I like to build up those highlights. And if I want to be darker, maybe I could fill in with a little black in there. Or I could use a black micron, right? Later I could use my black micron and I could just fill in a little. That's even easier and fun. The goal is you want to paint. You don't want to get bored of painting. You don't want to run out of steam. And so I've ran out of steam in the past. And so my method makes it more enjoyable for me, and so that I get my models painted. And that's, in the grand scheme of things, you want to have fun with your hobby, and you want to relax, and you want to really enjoy yourself. So you'll find your own way. If you're like super nitpicky and have to be like golden demon, you have to be like a golden demon every time, then if go for it if that's what you want to do. But if you want to relax, I give you permission to like not do perfect on every, especially troops. This guy's kind of not a troop, so I'll probably add some more detail to him. I'll probably go in there. Then again, I'm only going to use him a few times. Like, I'm going to play out those scenarios, so. I mean, that's another thing you want to keep in mind. Like, how often are you going to use the miniature? Are you going to use the miniature, like, many times for years? Okay, well then, put more effort into it. Are you just going to use him for, like, 5 missions? And then he's going to be in a box because he's a board game? I don't know, maybe you want to do a good job, but not as good of a job. Okay, I'm thinking that's good for now. He's got this thing on his head. I don't know if I want to make that purple. I guess I'm doing it. It's kind of too weird. It's like a zit. Alright. Look, my white is repelling my purple here. Oh, maybe I got it this time. Yeah, that's okay. If I had less watery paint, then it wouldn't repel it, but okay, so that's pretty good. So there you can see I did a variety of kind of washes. I did a wash on, he started off white, very light. And then I put like that, what was it, Cossite wash, and he's kind of brownish beige now. Then what I did is I added a little bit back in, not too much. Normally maybe I'd do a little more, but I'm going to dry brush him and then maybe I'll add some more in. This isn't too washy, like these tentacle things, but I'm going to dry brush it like a white. I'm going to dry brush most of it. It's going to be like an off-white. And so he'll be, and then it'll be back, and then I can go in and add a little bit more color again. kind of like what I did on this guy. Like I just added a little bit more on his tail there. You can barely see it. But if I dry brush and I lose some color, I go back in and add it. Boy, this is bugging me right here. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I'm gonna mess it up. I get it. It's so much bigger on my screen. It's such a smaller model in person. Yeah, I got it. I got it pretty good. Okay, so that's it. So we talked about washes. I talked about using regular paint. Like it didn't work very well, um, but it because it was watered down, some of the white's peeking through, and it's nice. And then I did same with the purple here for these kind of stones. But I'll have a video. This is the beginning, so I started there, and I can finish up. I'll dry brush, and then we'll look. Let's get one more look at Rosie. Let's see, how did she do? Not bad. I mean, on this video, her face looks humongous, so it looks like, how come under her eyes are so dark, but she is such a tiny figure in real, like, look how huge my hands are. I mean, like, and even that thing on her arm looks like a spot, right? But when she's on the table and far away, like, well, she's out of focus there, but your eye really, your eye and your mind really blend that in. It looks pretty good from a distance. I think she's pretty good. I might want to put a little bit of a highlight on her, although I like her tanned. She's pretty tanned. But that's it. So we did it. So we did some washes. Have fun. You can use regular paints for washes, but I really like Formula P. Their washes are nice. I got them all. Flesh Wash, Caspian, Armor, and Cossite, and they're great. And I'm sure they have more colors, but I like those brown washes. Oh, they have a brown. I don't know if it's an ink or just a brown. Here is it? It's brown ink. This one's super saturated. So, but this one's nice. This one's darker. I could have used it in here. It's almost too much, but this is good if you want something darker. So they got brown. But I really enjoy those Privateer Press. I'm sure Games Workshop has amazing ones, and their contrast paints are probably great too. I'm just too cheap to buy them. But that's it. So have a great week, and we'll talk again soon. We'll have more tutorials, and then hopefully we'll get around to playing some games and having some fun. So I'll talk to you later. Have a great week. Bye.